Today we will touch upon a wider range of topics than what is in this pamphlet at the moment. And I'm very glad to see, and I'd like to thank for participation Ukrainian diplomat Vadym Prystaiko, who is a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Vice Prime Minister on European and Euro-Atlantic integration, extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassador of Ukraine to the UK, and before that, that was not a representative of Ukraine to NATO, that is Canada, ambassador to Canada, and also what is important at the moment, the US and Australia. If I missed something, then at least I listed those areas which are important for us now, and I'd like to speak about all of them. And it turned out that the only person who can say something about all of these countries, so that is Vadym Prystaiko.
Now we have the most horrible war with the hugest consequences in the recent history, the Russian war in Ukraine. Many people said that the world is now in the crisis bout, also when it comes to the conflict countries, and that will be the period of wars. But it was said that these wars can happen neither in Middle East nor in Africa, where we have the war in Sudan. By the way, we do not know much about what is going on there, or what is also mentioned nowadays as somewhere in the Pacific area. So there is the tension between Pakistan, India, the RCP. So are these kind of scenarios, do you consider this kind of scenario? If you agree that wars can be happening the next 20, 30 years, so do you think that the epicenter will move from Europe to the other parts of the world? Well, I think that I would mention that quite a lot. Europe is losing leadership. Europe is kind of ideological leader, but nevertheless, it doesn't play any economical significant role. They do not create the new census. I do not want to say that the European page is closed, but Europe is not anymore the producer of ideological even content. So they are not spreading the new religion. They do not have the new Renaissance, and it's hard to name any kind of cultural products except for Eurovision, which are consumed all around the world. If we have the discussion and on the, so to say, temporary occupation of the territories of Ukraine, and when we decide to control and monitor, and the people who are going to monitor the situation are going to be the peacemakers. That is a discussion which was held recently. So then I have the question, why? That is not the peace enforcement, as it's written in one of the articles of the UN statute, in one which actually it can be applied to Ukraine. When there is an attack on the country and the aggression is recognized, then peace enforcement and not peacekeeping and peacemaking. So let them be called peacemakers, even though the peacemakers are coming when there is no contradiction, when everything is under control. So why, so to say, how can we believe in these peacemakers after the war? And once again, what is discussed by the UK? So what I hear is that there are going to be troops with vehicles, 2 brigades. So what is the French president says? We can be calling them peacemakers, but nevertheless, can it give us some kind of realistic leverage for the negotiations? So if these troops, the contingent, the external contingent will enter, I'm not even talking about the territories and the lines, but just them entering Ukrainian territory, and how realistic it is, because all of us are hearing statements, but we don't see any kind of actions, and how applicable it is for this situation. Well, finally, I can say that everything that you've said is not only, it not only makes sense, but maybe it's not correct when we're talking about our partners, but we have to catch them on these to make them enforce it. So when Macron made the statements 1 year ago, why we did not send the members of the parliament, when we did not suggest the draft law on allowing the French troops to enter Ukraine. We do it all the time. We are doing that for some military exercises. I will tell you why. Because the Ukrainian government did not suggest it. Well, we continued. We are still the parliamentary presidential republic every day. So it's not forbidden. We were laughing, we dare to laugh at Macron because we said that he has Napoleon complexes instead of saying that yes, indeed, tomorrow and better to do it today. No, we were not laughing at them. And the Russian Federation they laughed at him. People were laughing at me when I said that there will be the critical cycle of this war. The UK will be the first one who will join it. People were laughing at me. So the UK will become not the first ones, but the second ones. And we know the French will be the first one because they have lots of troops who were thrown away from Africa. So we have to be smarter. We have to see the situation, the picture broader, and we have to use all the tools which are available. And also considering the fact that our bilateral documents are already allowing us to do that. That is our sovereign right, which President Macron stated. And maybe the UK, maybe they were not the first ones to form the troops, but no, they are not the last one in promotion of this idea, even despite the fact that they have how many they didn't have many lots of troops, but I saw that there is one brigade, 5,000. They have expeditional brigade. They have, so to say, joint expeditional forces, which are controlled by the UK. The President Zelensky met them, and each time they had to be negotiating, and we knew that we have to be talking since the very beginning about about expeditional forces. So we lost 3 years of the war when we were telling that we will be the part of NATO, which is obviously not happening. And instead of that, we had to form through diplomacy the coalition of the brave ones. And brave ones is probably not the correct interpretation, but nevertheless, well, now they are called the willing ones. So that are the journalists who named it in this way, or someone, but it's incorrect. But nevertheless, now they are called reassurance. Yes, that is written in the Budapest memorandum, because there are assurances, and here we have reassurance. So that are not the guarantees. Okay, but nevertheless, in fact, you're absolutely correct. That is not true. That was not something stated politically, but that was said from the high tribunes. Moreover, and the normal process, according to UN process, when a few strong countries unite, after that they can be expanding their coalition, and that can be the UK, France, and Germany. Can you imagine the internal political sacrifices these people made, and what kind of agreements, what kind of risks did they undertake to make these statements? And we do not feel that the partner has already made, and we have to support them and to say that are the key partners. We have always dreamt to be like Macron, and that are our friends. And President Zelensky came right after the scandal in White House. Who did Zelensky rely on? These two nations, which luckily they start to become the third strong force, maybe the most strong, and then we will have more friends. We have friends. We have the north of Europe. Well, everything. The president of Ukraine was raising this question, and with a group of people in Nordic, they met Nordic, and the only thing we do not see some political actions, the statements or something that we want. For example, as you said, we want on expeditional forces of the UK. So Scandinavian countries can join, all Nordic countries, 10 countries can join, and Baltic countries, yes, so to say, north. I'm always throwing to my partners. in Ukraine, we are threatening Europeans that if you do not help us, now the Russians will destroy you soon. I think that is clear, but it's counterproductive, because we are telling them that they are not managing. Just do not get rid of your warehouses, because you will need it. Because we were the ones who were threatening that, and none can make the decision to give up the weapons to Ukraine, the one which can undertake preventive measures. Moreover, I can tell them from the point of view mathematics, and generals are calculating this and that, they have a list, and that's not one person who makes the decision. That is a very deep policy. I'm always reminding them that thanks to your support, we have destroyed so many things that you have to recalculate all these expenditures and consider. Maybe considering this situation, maybe you can give us something more, because the Russian Federation is in the worst situation so far, and you are sharing the old weapons, which is 40-50 years, and at the same time they bought the nice toys they are preparing now. So there are two messages, and if each of us gave these two messages, I think that it would have been beneficial for us if these two messages were heard. All narratives which we hear from different sides, that Ukraine cannot continue doing something, that Ukraine will have to admit the situation, well, in my opinion, it does not meet the current situation, because there are lots of scenarios, lots of changes which can happen, and a lot of things can be surprising to us. The only thing I can say is that there is one thing which I'd like to mention, because, well, speaking of the recommendations, that is the recommendations for 2025, that after some certain period, we do not want what will happen after some certain period. Maybe that will be mobilization of the Russian Federation and in the entire mobilization, and that will be a very difficult scenario of a long war. Otherwise, it can be the enhancement of Ukrainian side, and we will achieve peace. And that can be also the decision without no solution. So lots of scenarios at the table, and the only thing is that, recapping, if you don't mind, three main aspects. The first thing is red lines, and they are clear for everyone, both in external and internal policy. The second thing is the necessity of participating directly of military intervention. And it doesn't matter who they protect, maybe in the joint training centers. So if you want to call them peacemakers, let them be peacemakers. And the third thing is that we can see that without enhancement of the leverage which is on the Russian Federation, no plans, no ideas can be fulfilled. And